This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 152. Stop wasting all your hard-earned prospects. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, I've created a free strategic plan for you. Strategic, you said. Plan for you, and it's waiting at freeagentgift.com. That's freeagentgift.com. All right, let's get started. Stop wasting your hard-earned prospect. And yes, prospects are really hard to earn. But let's start off with the first point here. What is a prospect? I mean, for years, I heard the term prospecting, and I don't know that I ever really gave it a lot of thought. I mean, that sounded like cold calling to me and door knocking to me, and all the things that I learned along the way were acts of prospecting. But what is a prospect? Now, a lot of people have different connotations and different meanings they attach to it. So I decided that I needed to just attach some meaning myself. So what I see flowing along the assembly line of my service business is a contact. In other words, it's just the name and details, informational details about a human. That's what it is. I'm in the service business. I serve humans. And that's perfectly in alignment with my core philosophy of being a person for others. Wonderful. I get to do it. But I do need to understand that the disposition of that contact is changing along that service process. So what that means is a contact is a contact is a contact, but what you layer on top of it is the disposition. Lead. I don't know anything about their timing. Prospect is a contact that has been open to my initial offer. So that moment of conversion from lead to prospect, where I can affect the change of disposition, I have made some sort of an offer. I've had some sort of a discussion that has them leaning in, listening to me a little bit more, and hopefully accepting something from me. And in my case, I have taken a lot of time to think about my offer of information. I've productized it. I've made it physical, not just digital. Oh, I'll email it to you. Well, and get lost in an ocean of emails that hardly anybody's opening anymore. I'm drowning in emails. I'm not sure what happens. I try to skim the cream off the top of clients looking for me, but we're drowning in that. So I made mine physical so that I could cut through all the noise of the digital age and I could deliver my offer. And that this person, this contact, went from a lead not knowing me, not really understanding who I was in the world until I showed up, made a verbal offer. And I say verbal because typically it's telemarketing or face-to-face. That's really important to us. I like that real act of prospecting because there's real human interaction, voice or kinesthetically in the same room with, physicality. Okay. So that I love the most. So to me, a real good, solid prospect who is hard earned has been earned that way. And they've been open to what we say. We don't tacitly say, they sent me back a text and that's a prospect. No, it's not really. You've done nothing really to change the relationship, to change and affect the disposition. So a real prospect is a contact that has been open to our initial offer. And then, of course, once they engage our services in the field to go look at properties or they've listed with us, then they become a client. So in the conversion module, there's 3 dispositions, but it's this prospect thing that this business hinges upon. Your success or failure hinges upon your ability to make the right offer to a lead and create a good, solid prospect, right? That's the first step. So the next point is you should work really hard to make an offer that converts those leads to prospects. Now, when I say really hard, I talked about it in the last episode about becoming a manager in your perspective, not just a salesperson. The salesperson is always like jumping up and down like a brand new little puppy on the lead's leg, Are you going to buy? Are you going to sell? Are you going to buy? Are you going to sell? It just sounds juvenile because people aren't thinking about, well, if I were to compete for this lead to become my prospect, to lean in with me, to give me the chance of serving them to become my client, what offer do I make? What can I give them? And look, we live in a day and age where giving away your best stuff for free is the standard. The internet has raised the game. You must give away your best what to do information for free. Now, the how to do, hopefully, is the upsell. That's what they need. They need you and your insight on top of the information. But if you really think about this, and this is why I sat and thought, and again, it wasn't complicated. I've had much deeper thoughts than this, folks. I thought to myself, what are the X number of immutable laws a seller goes through or has to deal with? Stages, immutable, unbreakable. What are the stages a seller goes through when selling? What are the stages a buyer goes through? I chunked it up into a mind map, turned it into an infographic, and then wrote a more detailed description of the process. And it's universal. It's not unique to Danny Griffin, the Griffin and the company. It's not unique to us. It's unique to the business and the process. So I did all that work for somebody who I figured I would meet, and I would be able to say, why don't you just take a copy of my plan? I say it at the beginning of every single one of these podcasts. Freeagentgift.com, you can get a copy of my plan. And now I'm trying to plus that offer up and go more into a couple action steps that are maybe a little bit more insightful. So I keep upping the level of what's free. And that's an offer that converts people from a lead to a prospect. Now you're in my world. If you listen to this podcast, you've been converted more to some sort of a prospect where you're interested in my free information. And then if I can offer you coaching or coaching products, great. If I can't, at least I left you better off than I found you with my free stuff. And that's the idea of a true solid offer. Can I give you something informationally that leaves you in a better spot than I found you? Even if you never become one of my clients, if I genuinely believe that what I'm giving you truly helps you as I meet you as a potential buyer or seller to the world, not to me, awesome. Like, that's how hard I worked on it. And that's a difficult thing to get used to, because a lot of people start counting the microeconomics of it, right? They, well, that package cost me $8 and I'm not just going to give it to anybody. I didn't say just give it to anybody. I said, try to meet the right and best leads, who they are, where they are, and make the right offer to them and give it away. So imagine like an open house. I love open houses because I have my buyer and seller packages there. Somebody comes through the door. I exchange, look at it, it's my seller's place. I want safety first. Sign in. This isn't just a random, fun house walk through my seller's house. Sign in. So I know you have some seriousness of purpose and we have safety. In exchange for that, there you go. There's the feature sheet. Have at it. But in the case that lead that just came into the open house, in the case that I see that they're not working with anybody, I can offer a package of information that's wildly helpful to them. And it's physical. I love that. Now that person accepts it. Now they truly are beginning to turn into one of my prospects. You see how hard it is to create these folks? This is why I don't want to, the whole point of this podcast is not to waste them. First, I have to tell you how to get them. Now I have to say how to, not to waste them, right? And that point there that I left off on, right before you do this, I think a lot of you sort of, what's the best way? You diminutize the power of the word prospect because you let anybody in the club. And you make up your own rules that are soft. I'm saying the third point here is set standards for what a real prospect is. This is really somebody that you met in a context and you had probably a conversation about how the market was doing. That led to them telling you that they were thinking about buying or selling. That led to you offering your free information. That led to them accepting that. That's a real prospect. That's a real conversation. It's not some BS tacit lightweight thing where, they looked at me and smiled. They like me, right? I actually hear that stuff all the time. So really be professionalized in this concept of prospecting. But here's the big point here, and I'll spend a little extra time on this one because I'm zipping through the first 2 or 3 points. You must segment your prospects by their timing and then serve them constantly until they become clients. Like, this is the pandemic in the industry, especially, by the way, for top producers. Top producers get so sucked into just trying to get the latest, especially online system that is miraculously going to get them today's buyer and today's seller. By the way, really difficult to go online and get today's seller. Sellers just don't throw their listings around to you like that. They just don't. Everything requires some sort of a disciplined follow-up after the initial offer. Sure, you might bait them in with, what's your home worth online and all this crap that we do just to get somebody's attention, right? And I say crap because it's just so overdone. Like what you expect that to do for you is you're just so delusional about what that is. Because really, no matter how you get them, sure, you might be able to give them some quick algorithmic guesstimate that ranges, who knows what the disclosures are these days. Is it 20% it's off? Is it 15%? Look, most marketplaces trade within about 2 or 3%, right? Of where the final asking price is. But yet I'm going to make a wild guess and I might be off by 20%. Agency is much more efficient than that. So algorithmic approach hasn't even come close to the efficiency of the marketplace. Let's leave that at that. I'm not saying algorithms online aren't a good tool, but then it requires a pro like me and you to come in and refine this. So you see, if you know that value and you can make at least the offer that, look, before you start going online and you start looking at all this crazy stuff, let me give you this information. Oh, by the way, as I give you this information, why are you thinking about selling? Why are you thinking about buying? And furthermore, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you? See, in my world, that's the second serious beat to really determining, is this a prospect that's worthy of making a real solid follow-up list? Most of you aren't even remotely close with a good, diligent, technologically driven follow-up system. I have been working on mine for 10 years, and we stitch little pieces of it together all the time, and we still make plenty of mistakes, and we still drop the ball. So it's really difficult to do this. So my best conversation with you involves a simple spreadsheet. I actually built one of these for my coaching program and my agents at the Griffin. I said, look, if you could get 20 really good prospects who you made a good offer to and you gave them your plan plus some properties and you converted them into that relationship and you put them on that list to be able to go out and present properties to them as a buyer or go in and give them insight and potentially list, you're off to the races if you've focused on the median and above in the area you want, right? You have a list of serious value in your face in only 10 names. 20 names, 50 names, you're getting rich. Tell you right now. So if you can just get that up there on some sort of a scoreboard and you can see it, not only will you see the money, but you'll see their timing. So it's like a bubble sort program. If you can imagine 50 of these people, once you've built this out, it's like an exclusive club. I only have room for 50 members, which means I have to convert some clients all the time and move them out of the prospect club. I'm going to get rid of some deadbeats that shouldn't have been in the club to begin with, and I'm going to bring in new ones. And so I only have 50 seats at any one point in time. If you played a game with yourself like that, then you'd be looking at their timing and you'd saying, okay, I got a guy that's got a membership request in, and I've got this guy that I don't even know, like, how did he get in here? Did I ever really make a real offer? Did I ever really get his timing? So a lot of times you're the problem why somebody's on your list. And they don't belong there. It doesn't mean you don't pick up the phone and say, hey, look, we met back about 6 months ago at an open house. Just checking back in to see, if you were receiving those emails from me about the properties that sold. So you see what's selling and wanted to see if you wanted to go out. Oh, no, we already bought with my sister. Some stuff like that can start to slip in. And all of a sudden you're wondering why time management is an issue because you didn't make a simple list that said, okay, here's who this person is. They're a buyer or seller or both. Here's when it seems like they want to go out and see some properties with me or somebody else. Here's when it sounds like they might want to interview agents to list. So now you've got a follow-up. And by the way, here's what it could be worth. Here's what this buyer is looking at. I can presume X percent from my own model, whatever I've been able to garner over the years as an agent for a percentage on the commission, and I can guesstimate the worth of my prospect list. What a scoreboard that is. Can you imagine none of us have really ever done this? I've never really seen many people do it. I'm not saying some people don't do it, but I'm in earnest pushing all my coaching clients and my agents, my own sales machine team, meaning my telemarketer, my client care manager who do their book with me. We just want to see that scoreboard because we want to validate the names. You better be able to defend the name that's on your prospect list. You better know exactly where they are and exactly why their timing's there. Otherwise, shame on you. And that's how you end up wasting your hard-earned prospects, because you don't even have these standards, and then you don't mind them, and then you don't follow up. Little pro tip here, by the way. We give away always in the beginning of that prospect relationship, no matter how we found you, we give away a physical product. Pictures and details of properties that sold in the price range you're buying or selling, plus a copy of our plan is the bare minimum. You're going to get that. But if your accordion of time gets stretched out and you like us and you met us at an open house, but you're not really going to be back to Cape Cod, for example, for 6 months, we're going to fill in digitally only then the content that we gave you. So in other words, we gave you a copy of the current market update, but we're going to digitally send it to you every month. And we're going to digitally automatically get you the solds as they occur now until you come back. So digitally, you can sow the safety net beneath this relationship, but you want to change it physically with your initial package, okay? That's a pro tip for all of you. And that helps you serve so that when now you call back to follow up a month later, you're not sitting here asking me, what do I say to these people? Well, you don't say, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? You say, hey, did you get that latest market update? Unbelievable what's happened to inventory. It's gone from like literally 7 months a year ago down to 1. That's pretty phenomenal, right? So it's still difficult to find a spot. But the good news is we just helped 3 buyers win in a bidding war. That's a really good story to follow up with somebody on that's in the prospect list because they know it's a hot market, but you're giving them hope that in spite of that, you're the one. And on the sell side, hey, look, if you were ever thinking about selling, now's the time. There's a month's worth of inventory. We've been sending those sold. You see what your neighbor got? They got bid up 80 grand over the asking price. That's a real story. So this pro tip follow-up, as you know their timing is coming near, you've been the one supplying real market updates macroeconomically, the global market, microeconomically, their neighborhood that they want to buy in or sell in. So there you go. Those are some tips on how to stop wasting your hard-earned prospects. But let me summarize the points. First, a prospect is a contact that has been open to your initial offer, right? There's a process of conversion that begins. 2, then you work hard to make an offer that converts more of those leads to prospects, right? So you think about if you can get somebody to accept an offer, well, you better work on the offer. 3rd, set standards for what a real prospect is. Don't make a light, half-hearted offer, and if they wink at you, they become a prospect. Make sure they're engaging you. They're into what you're saying. They're into giving you a chance. And lastly, then you have to segment all those prospects on a scoreboard, on a list. I like Google Sheets because it's stupid simple. I know there's a lot of great softwares for databases, and I use them, but I like a scoreboard that's simple. And I segment them by their timing, and then we serve them constantly until they become our clients or they die off the list. I'll summarize it this way. You get all enthusiastic about this. This is really like at the heartbeat of what, after 21 years of doing this, like we just simplified this and it's just exciting. Things are happening. We're serving better people. They're appreciating us. We like what we do better. They like us better. Weird how that happens. But I'll say it this way. We live in an age of instant gratification that has stolen our ability to be patient in our creation of a list of true prospects. We're constantly looking to scrape the cream off the top of the who's next pile, only to forget the great prospects we created who simply weren't ready when we first met them. So start by cleaning up your list of prospects and build a simple system that reminds you of how to serve them until they are really ready, and you will be greatly rewarded. All right, now remember, you can take immediate action to get started in the right strategic direction with a copy of our free agent plan that's waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. Also, don't forget, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We'd appreciate it if you would do that. We'd also love to hear from you, so please feel free to comment on our posts, and that way we know what your biggest challenges are, and then we can deal with them here at the podcast. Thanks for listening, but you know how I'm going to sign off if you listen to this. If you're a first-time listener, hear this loudly and clearly. Nobody is coming for you. Nobody. So go get to work on your own business, and we will see you in the next episode to help you do just that. Thanks again.